Hello, fifth grade. Today is Monday, December 14th. Today in class we did three things, I believe, starting with new Nifty 50 words. So please find your Nifty 50 list. And once you have that in your hot little hands, let me blow this up so you can see it. Okay. Your first word. So we already have composer, encouragement, discovery, richest, unfriendly, classify, community, communities, electricity, beautiful, prettier. And remember that our Nifty 50 words are words that have prefixes and suffixes that once we learn those, the meanings of those and how they fit onto words, then we can use them to learn lots and lots more words just by knowing these Nifty 50 words. So today your first word is expensive, and you should see the word expense. And expense usually has a silent E at the end, and we tack on the suffix IVE. So we had to drop the silent E to add IVE. So you should be writing this word down in your spiral notebook with your other Nifty 50 words. And an expense is a thing. You might have an expense if you have animals. One expense is vet bills. Another expense is the cost of food. And maybe another expense is having a place for them to live. I don't know. If you don't have your own barn, you might have to pay to keep them at a different barn. So an expense is a thing. It's a certain amount. And when you tack on this ending, IVE, it changes from a noun to an adjective describing your animals. They are expensive to keep. Your next word is transportation. This word is transport, which means to carry or take away, to move from one place to another. And to transport is a verb, and if you add shun or ation onto transport, then it turns from a verb, transport, we need to transport the food to the cafeteria, to transportation, and that turns into a noun. So it is a way of moving. And we said in class that we kind of listed out some different kinds of transportation that we wished we could do that we haven't ever gotten to do before. And some people said planes, and some people said a yacht, and then we did have one student say kittens. So maybe you could have your own herd of kittens and they could kind of carry you around like sled dogs. I don't really know. That was kind of silly. Your next word is impression. Impress is something you try to do. You might dress to impress. So you try to dress up fancier than usual. Your teachers are always trying to impress the importance of schoolwork on you. They're trying to make it stick, press it onto you. So to impress is a verb. It's a thing you do. An impression, when we add ION, becomes a noun. And you may have heard that it's important to make a good first impression, and that's the first time somebody sees you or talks to you, they have a good feeling about it, so you made a good first impression. Your next word is independence. And you can see the word depend in independence, and we said we depend on our parents. Well, I don't anymore. Hopefully I don't. I do in some ways, I guess. Adults still depend on their parents in some ways. But kids depend on their parents for food and shelter and love and caring. And when you grow up, you start to become more independent. And that means you don't depend on other people. You're able to do things by yourself. So hopefully when you become an adult, you will be independent or gain your independence. So depend is a verb. It's something I do. If I have independence, that's a thing. When I add that "ence" ending, it turns it into a noun, and it's something that I can have. I can't see independence, but I can tell I have independence because I don't still live with my parents. The next word is governor. You can see the word govern in governor. And to govern is to kind of watch over a group of people. So we have a governor in Illinois who governs the state and tries to make sure that people are following rules to keep everybody safe in the state. And so that person who governs, we can add OR to the end of words, and then we get the noun form of that kind of person is now a governor. And you have two left. We all live in a yellow submarine. If you like the Beatles, submarine. Marine life are animals that live underwater. If you like boating, you might go to a marina to put your boat in. So marine has to do with water. Sub is a prefix we can add to the beginning, and it means below. So a submarine goes below the water. Your last word is unfinished. Unfinished. You see the word finish. Oops, finish. And then you can also see the word finished. It means you're all done. It's the past tense. Oh, but it's unfinished. It means it is not complete. So you should have all those words tacked into your spiral notebook where you keep your Nifty 50. And we're now up to like 20-ish words, so we're almost halfway there. The next thing we did today, excuse me, is, maybe we did this first, I don't know. We learned how to write a cursive F. There are two ways to write it capitalized, so you should have your E's done from Friday, maybe last week, and today I always make a little, I call it a hat. You can just make it a straight line if you want. I'm sorry, not a straight line. It's kind of a curled line, but it doesn't have the full curly Q on it. And then there are two ways. You probably see me write Friday with a capital F that looks like that. And all I did was come down, over to make, oops, wrong way, down, over to make my boat, and then come across and a little hook down to make my F. I think that's how I was taught. This shows, and your classmates told me that you were taught to make it more like this. It's just important that you make it so it doesn't look like a T. A T and an F are very similar. Just make sure you have that crossing the line so that we can tell we have an F. A lowercase f is actually looks like an L. Right here. But the L needs to go down below the grass line and make a loop down. Everything's backwards on the computer. And up and then out for your lowercase f. So you need to trace and write each of these words. We did foot and feet together, and then the rest of it they finished in class or during homeroom. And then last but not least, today we talked about quaking earth racing waves. And what I want you to do is take out your hard copy of your My Book, and you are going to highlight in it. And you may want to also have the questions open. Let's see, how do we get to the questions? So we went through and we found text evidence for each of these. It says geologist Jerry Say said there was a ticking time bomb. Was it really a bomb? The correct answer was no, he was talking about that fault. So I open this up And in the hard copy with a highlighter, I would like you to find the text evidence for that. And so we found, let's see. For hundreds of years, the Sunda megathrust fault had been storing energy that would be released in massive undersea earthquakes. And so that's what your hard copy of your book will look like. And you can show it to me in our Google Meet. Maybe tomorrow would be a good time. You can prove to me that you did this. Then the next one asked the question, how could the geologist tell another one was coming? And so we went down to the next heading, says rising corals. And after you read this part, it says he read the corals. So I would, highlight that. Well, close. That he read the corals, and then we go back, and next question, earthquakes cause the earth to move down and up over and over through hundreds of years of quakes. This caused the corals to be shaped like, and I remember they were donuts because I thought that was funny. And so then I need to find the text evidence to prove that answer is correct. And somewhere it says they're shaped like donuts. That's what happens when I skim sometimes. I skim right over it. There it is. Over hundreds of years, all this up and down causes the coral to grow outward in donut-shaped rings. So you should highlight that sentence. And then go to the next question. And it says the coral was just one way to tell an earthquake was coming. Another way scientists could tell was, and go back into the text. What was the other way they could tell? Well, I had turned the page, so this page talks about sinking islands. Hey, that's the right answer. So I would click the islands were sinking, and then I would find the proof. And I believe Mr. Aiden remembered that they talked about the trees. Trees that once grew tall on shore were now underwater, and wells that once gave fresh water were full of salty seawater. So I would highlight that part of the text because it proves to me that the island is sinking. Next question, reread 209. What comparison does the author use to help readers understand that the lithosphere is very thin? Well, if I come over here and I start reading this page, it says, there's lithosphere. The part of the earth you're standing on called the lithosphere is rock solid, but the lithosphere is very thin. Oh yes, this must be the spot. If the earth were the size of an apple, the lithosphere would be about as thick as the apple's skin. Yeah, that's the one. That's the proof that tells me they were comparing the lithosphere, that part of the earth, to an apple. So I would click that, or I would make sure I had that answer correct. And then the Sunda fault near Tello Island is called a megathrust because, look back in the text, and oh yeah, I could highlight this picture because here's where it shows that and under my face here it says, it's called a megathrust where the underwater oceanic plate dives under the continental plate. So it's showing that this ocean plate is going down under and the continental plate is coming up and over. So I could highlight this picture, or I could highlight this part of the text. I don't know if it'll highlight because my face is in the way. There. And that's all we got through today, so that's all I want you to have highlighted. So make sure that you have followed along with this and highlighted along with me. Your only homework today is just read something for enjoyment and keep studying your nifty 50 words, and that could just mean rewriting them. You can rewrite all of them to keep them fresh in your mind. Have a lovely afternoon.